In a quiet neighborhood of Kolkata, there was an old house shrouded by dense trees, creating an air of mystery. This house belonged to Moumita Debnath, a renowned writer known for her eerie and mysterious ghost stories. Locals often whispered that the inspiration for her chilling tales didn't just come from her vivid imagination, but from some unknown, mysterious force. Moumita lived alone in that large house, with only a black cat named Hanny as her companion. Hanny had appeared in her life in a strange way one evening while she was in the middle of writing a story. Out of nowhere, Hanny appeared by the window, looking at her with deep, penetrating eyes, as if carrying thousands of untold stories within. Since Hanny's arrival, Moumita's stories had become more vivid and more mysterious. It seemed that Hanny wasn't just an ordinary cat but a companion who guided her ideas. However, strange things also began to happen in the house. One night, as Moumita was writing in her room, she heard the soft sound of footsteps in the hallway. She paused, listening, but the sound disappeared. Thinking she was just imagining it, she returned to her writing. But as soon as she resumed, the candle on her desk suddenly went out, plunging the room into darkness. Moumita stood up, searching for Hanny, but she was nowhere to be found. The house had suddenly become eerily cold, sending a shiver down her spine. She called out Hanny's name, but there was no response. When she stepped into the hallway, the darkness seemed to thicken, swallowing everything around. Suddenly, Hanny appeared at the end of the hallway, her eyes glowing brightly in the dark. But what terrified Moumita even more was the long shadow behind Hanny. A shadow not of a cat, but of a person. Fear crept into her heart, but Moumita still walked forward, as if an invisible force was pulling her toward Hanny. As she got closer, she realized the shadow belonged to a woman, dressed in an old-fashioned gown, her face blurred in the darkness. The woman didn't say anything, just stood there silently, looking at Moumita. Hanny moved closer to the woman and disappeared into the darkness. Immediately after, the woman vanished too, leaving Moumita standing in the hallway, confused and frightened. The next morning, Moumita found an old letter on her desk, written in handwriting she had never seen before. The letter told the story of a woman who had disappeared decades ago, and this letter was her final plea for help. From that day on, Moumita's stories became increasingly mysterious and haunting, as if lost souls had found their way to her through Hanny. But Moumita never spoke of that night, and Hanny remained her faithful companion, carrying secrets that no one could ever understand.